As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Today, Deer and Wildlife Stories comes to you from the Big Rack Ranch, located less than an hour east of Dallas, just outside of the town of Terrell. It's the third week of August, and the deer are enjoying the unseasonably cool weather that we're having this year. The fawns that were born early in the summer will be weaned soon, and the bucks are nearly finished growing their antlers, and they look absolutely beautiful. The deer breeding operation here is overseen by my friend John True.
Breeding deer has been a dream of mine for a long time. When Tom and I started doing this years ago, it was just for fun, and we were just stocking his personal ranch here in Terrell. It's fun for me to get ranch owners in the state of Texas that were where we were 15 years ago, that want better deer, but they don't know how to get there. So it's great for us to have people come and take advantage of all the trial and error that we went through. So it's really a passion of ours to help people in Texas on other ranches set their places up to be what they want it to be. I've really got two different customers that I deal with on a daily basis. So there's other breeders in Texas that are looking for good pedigreed animals to add to their breeding operation. And the other clients that I deal with are ranch owners. And they could have 500 acres, they could have 20,000 acres, but they all share the same goal of wanting to improve the genetics on their ranches. I get involved with them on the front end to study the pedigrees to make sure that it's a long-lasting benefit for the ranch that's going to pay off for years to come.
Whatever you're looking for, really, John is able to take that information. He's got to sit down with you and talk to you about it and look at the pedigrees and say, what if we were to put this on this? And he'll work with you to try to build the right genetic line for you to release on your pasture. I'll tell you, a lot of times we don't show the people behind the scenes at some of these deer farms, but I know that you've got a full-time job, more than a full-time job in Dallas. You're a businessman, and you got to have good people to work for you. I mean, how many guys do you have working out here?
We have what I think is the best team, and Tom and we've had them for a long time. Mm-hmm. We've got Pooh Dennis, Matt Easton, Raymond Del Toro, Lydia Campbell's helped this summer with the fawns, and it's been a huge part of the process for us because we're not here every day and we're not taking care of these deer on a daily basis, and they do just an incredible job for us, and we're lucky to have every one of them.
Although you're not here every day, I bet you wish you were here.
That's right. I still think about it every day.
That's because you have passion. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Record Rack Deer Feed, the North American Deer Farmers Association, New Dart, the North American Deer Registry, Beam Fence Company, WinATexasDeerFarm.com, Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics, Headgear LLC, Superior Milk Replacer, Newport Laboratories, Advanced Deer Genetics, Whitetail Supplies, and by Keith Warren's Texas Hidden Springs Ranch.
For me, growing up hunting on low fence ranches, there was always that, we'd let bucks go year to year and you'd never see them again, or they'd jump the fence and get shot by the next lease owner. And so the idea of being able to selectively breed deer has been a dream come true to ultimately let the deer get age on them.
I was here last year at the exact same time, so I'm looking forward to seeing how those young deer look now with 1 year of age on them. Well, last year we came out here and we showed you a deer that I just liked the name. I thought that was a cool name, Medicine Man. And so we're gonna start out, folks, and we're gonna show you what Medicine Man looks like this year, being 1 year older. Well, I can tell which one Medicine Man is, 357, right?
Yes, sir, that's him.
Holy smokes, and he's 3 years old.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Every buck in there looks like 3.
Every buck in that pen is 3 years old.
And so last year we filmed the same bunch of bucks.
We did. We're basically looking at the same bucks we saw last year, that 2 year old, they're just bigger this year.
Now, Medicine Man at 3 years old, okay, he was really an outcross. All right, he's an outcross, and what we want to talk about is whether you have a high fence piece of property, a low fence piece of property, or you're a deer breeder. Outcrossing is really important to bring in some new genetics, and Medicine Man is a result of an outcross. Tell them why it's important.
I mean, every piece of property, low fence or high fence, is going to have the same problem eventually. You're going to get a population of deer that gets inbred, meaning you've got stagnant. You're going to have sons breeding mothers and sons breeding aunts and sisters, and at some point you need to outcross that population by breeding in something totally different line of genetics.
And what that is genetic diversity. And what we do as deer breeders, we provide, well, genetic diversity to people that are looking for it, whether you're a deer breeder or whether you have a high fence ranch. And that's one thing that John True specializes in. He's got a passion for helping people that have high fence ranches that really have genetic stagnation on that piece of property, that are looking to change and supersize for genetics like this. Now, Medicine Man there at 3, the other ones are 3. Who's that other buck in there?
That's Cherry Bomb.
That's the one I liked last year. Okay, and he was a really nice 2 year old. And now with 1 year growth on him, boom. It's amazing, but that's when you're doing things right.
That's right. All these bucks are the same ones you saw. They're just a little bigger, and that kind of shows what we're so passionate about is taking bucks that used to take 4 to 5 years to reach that certain size, and now we're compressing that time frame down to 2 and 3. And that's what it's all about for us.
Okay, and I want to talk about where these deer are going, because on this particular ranch, there are very few bucks that make it after 3 years old.
Right, there's 5 or 6 in that group of bucks this year that are going to other places, other breeders' ranches, to be used in pens to breed does, and the balance will be sent to other ranches to stock to basically breed deer out on the ranch.
If you're a landowner, if you're a realtor, if you lease a piece of property that's got a high fence and you live in Texas and you're looking to improve the genetics on your herd, there's no better way to do that than bring in the genetic diversity from dealing with somebody like John True. That's what John specializes in. John is a businessman out of Dallas. He's passionate about deer. This is what he's really, really passionate about. Some guys are passionate about football or, racing or whatever. John, his passion is right there. And his passion is helping people build a better deer herd through his genetics. And so if somebody wants more information, to come out here, give them a website and or a phone number.
Sure, BigRackRanchWhitetails.com. Phone number is 214-890-0900.
Last year when we were out here, you had some really nice 1 year olds, and I think it's going to surprise everybody to see what they've done between 1 and 2. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as big a difference as these guys between 2 and 3. But let's go take a look at the 2 year olds and see what they did between 1 and 2.
Let's do it.
Closed captioning is brought to you by 7 Seas Whitetails. Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute. There's an old saying, get what you pay for, and that's true whether you're dealing with deer genetics or whether you're dealing with a fence. And as far as fences go, I want to point something out, that different people use different construction methods to put their fences up. Some guys put up fences that'll last a lifetime and more, and some guys put up fences that, well, in 10 years you're going to be repairing those fences and probably rebuilding them because they weren't done right. So what you have to do is you have to keep in mind that you get what you pay for and everything, and fencing is just one of those deals that when you deal with Mark Beam, Mark has decades of experience. He has a list of references as long as your leg. He has the most sophisticated equipment that he's come up with himself. He's got patents on this stuff that fence contractors all around the world, including fence contractors over in Australia, are using Beam Fence Company products. And that just gives you a little idea about Mark Beam. But you get what you pay for and everything. Like I said, whether it's deer semen or deer fencing, you're going to get what you pay for. Well, there's a bunch of yearlings in here. Okay, I can see. Now that's yellow 410?
Yes, sir.
Boy, look at him. He's nice. Yep, there's a 2-year-old. Folks, last year we were out here and we got great footage of yellow 410. And as you can see from that footage, I mean, he was an outstanding yearling. And at 2, he's still a great deer. He's got a phenomenal pedigree behind him as well. But I want to point out that in our industry, in the deer farming, deer breeding industry, it seems that everybody kind of gets hung up every year. They're always looking, who's got a big yearling? Who's got a big yearling? And so everybody kind of jumps over to whoever's got that big yearling and thinks that that's going to be their flagship. That's going to be their savior to really put them on top. And not necessarily that's the case, because last year, yellow 410 was my favorite yearling on the farm. And I know that you've got, and now at 2, he's not my favorite 2-year-old. Okay, you've got some really good 2-year-olds. Right. And I want you to explain to people the difference between 1 and 2, how you can't cut out somebody just because they don't do it at 1.
Right, and it's really hard to judge a deer based on his yearling rack. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. We saw Cherry Bomb. He was our biggest yearling that year, and he was our biggest 2-year-old. And he's a great looking 3-year-old.
But he's not your biggest 3-year-old.
But he's not my biggest.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes yearlings will be the biggest the next year, sometimes they're middle of the pack. Very hard to make a bet on those deer. Breeding yearlings is a roll of the dice usually. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. I try to stay away from it outside of what we have. If we have some good looking yearlings, I will let them cover some doe fawns or a few does here or there just to see if I can get something on the ground. If they turn into something, if the yearlings end up growing into something at 2 and 3, then I'm a step ahead.
What we're gonna do, we're gonna go take a look at some other 2-year-olds that we filmed last year's 1-year-olds. And I want you, at that point, we're gonna talk about the difference between targeting the breeding market for deer breeders and targeting the breeding market for landowners. And John will tell you more about what he does to help landowners improve the genetics on their piece of property. Yep. Show me some other 2-year-olds.
Okay. Wow.
And these are 2-year-olds, huh?
Yes, sir. All these.
Whoa, look at that. You know, are these the same guys that last year's yearlings we were filming?
Yep, everybody's the same.
Cool. Look at that, folks. I mean, these deer last year, I mean, the yellow 410 jumped out at me so big last year. I thought, I know he's going to be the biggest 2-year-old, but look at these guys. Right. There's some beautiful deer that last year they were just kind of just yearlings. I mean, they didn't.
That's right.
Nobody stood out. So, tell me about some of the standouts in here.
I have my favorites, but you know, it's again, yellow 4110 is just a beautiful, wide, framey buck, and just kind of everything I like about deer.
No, hold on a second. Who's he go back to?
He's a Kid Dynamite's son.
Okay, and see, Kid Dynamite is one of the foundation deer right here. I mean, that's one that it's one of your foundations.
Right, Kid Dynamite was brought in as what we talked about as the outcross for a lot of, we had a lot of clean, typical does that we had that we just needed to add a little growth, speed the growth up on and keep the look. And Kid Dynamite served that purpose. He had very little in common with all the foundation does that we had. And the proof is in the pen now. It's been great to see.
Just look at him, my gosh. Okay, who else down there? Who else stands out to you?
458 is another great looking buck. It's a Dos Anjos son that's 2 years old. And 4110 and 458 are both, for me, it's, great examples of kind of the DNA process working and the benefits of that, because both of their mothers aren't, in today's standards, weren't super highly marketable pedigrees, but they had really good looking brothers. They had twin brothers that had the look and gave us the confidence to kind of like them a little bit more and put a breeding plan together around them.
The market is real fickle. The deer breeding market, that's the best word I can use, is fickle. And they've changed. This deer's great, that deer's great, and all. The big deal with a deer management plan is you have to make a plan and stick to it.
Right, it's the most important thing to me, and it takes years to do, because you have to give it time. You have to have time for those animals to mature and see what they look like and see what characteristics you're really trying to pull out. And so, there's several bucks in there that, had a good looking, their mother had a good looking brother, and so we bred it a certain way trying to line up or outcross or whatever we were trying to do on the breeding. If you'd like more information on Big Rack Ranch, go to our website, bigrackranchwhitetails.com, or call me in the office, 214-890-0900. It's a huge pat on the back to see the deer kind of grow into their pedigrees.
Let's take time to talk about pedigrees, okay? We have the North American Deer Registry in our deer industry. And the North American Deer Registry is a wonderful tool that helps deer farmers to be able to look at the lineage of everybody's deer. And there's 200,000 deer, more or less, that are in there now. And so there's a lot of information. Tell everybody how it works and why it's so important.
It's such a valuable tool that wasn't around when I got into the business. When we started buying deer 18 years ago, DNA was not an option, so you really relied on someone's word. You can tell a lot about the value of a deer just by looking at the pedigree. One of our breeder bucks, Super Dandy, is a great example of that. He not only is out of a great sire, Shadow, but his mother is a doe that we have called Blue 18. She's also a mother of another breeder buck called Bambi High Class over at another breeding operation that was 377 inches at 3. But her mother is a doe called Yankee Doodle Dandy, who is the mother to one of the most prolific sires ever, named Bambi 727. So you can point at production from the mother and the grandmother to help yourself with predictability of what that offspring ultimately is going to be. I have my computer with me on a daily basis, whether I'm in the pens or at the office, and I'm using GMS to really understand some of the pedigrees and figure out the breeding plan that I've got coming up. And it's helpful for me to see it in the system to understand the general look that we're going after, but also just the production. You can see not only the sire side and what's been produced, but the mother side. And does she have a twin brother, a full brother out there that you're trying to make a certain cross with? It's something I do on a daily basis. The DNA analysis that came along has taken all the guesswork out of that, and it's scientifically proven. And ultimately, you see the proof in the pens at the end of the day.
Very nice deer. God, I really like him. Anybody like him? Yeah, he's got everything. There's a bunch of yearlings in here, and okay, there he is. Super Dandy.
Yep.
Golly, just look at him. I mean, his G2's got to be what, 15 inches?
I think his 2s and 3s are all 4 of them about 15 inches. But
I mean, that's unreal. Look how tall, look how symmetrical he is. I mean, that deer is absolutely beautiful, and he's 4 years old, right?
4 this year. He's a buck that's just continually gotten bigger and better every year for us, and we continue to breed him. And he's kind of a best of all worlds. He's got a great pedigree, and he looks good in person. So he kind of sells himself.
Oh, he is absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that. He is so symmetrical. Now, last year when we were out here, I fell in love with him. I mean, he was just, oh, he was so gorgeous. And I mean, from last year to this year, I mean, he's kept the exact same look. He's just gotten prettier.
Right. He's always the crowd favorite when we have tours, because he's just such a special looking buck.
But like you said, he looks good on paper and in person.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so at all these yearlings, there's one right there that
Yep.
looks really, really nice. Tell me about him.
Right, that's going to be one that makes the cut for the top 2 breeding some girls this year. He's a witch doctor son. We continue to breed witch doctor and have always liked that buck, and it's fun to see it kind of play out. He's actually, the interesting thing, his mother is the same mother as Yellow 410 from last year.
Really?
So that that kind of stuff gives you that, we know that through DNA. So
You want to sell that mother?
right. But
That's the point, because
Right.
I mean, you're looking for that common denominator that
right.
throws
So
off something like that.
It shows that's proven production over and over again out of her. It doesn't matter what sire you put on her, she puts a good looking product out there. Her sons look good. So.
Okay, buying deer is just like buying a car. I mean, you got to do your research. You want to make sure you're buying what is right for you, and everybody has different things that they like. Some people like drop tines, some people like spreads, some people like non-typical, some people like typicals. But you're able to customize a package that will help them get what they're looking for.
Exactly.
I first visited Big Rack Ranch over a year ago, and I learned one thing that makes Big Rack Ranch different than other breeders in Texas They used goats as surrogate mothers for many of their fawns. By doing so, this surrogate mother assumes the responsibility of nursing the fawns, therefore allowing the doe to recover from birthing more rapidly.
We welcome visitors anytime. I'd say the best time to come out is anywhere from January to June. We have several does that we'll be selling between January and March that will be leaving the ranch, and then as we get into the spring and summer, we've got babies on the ground. The bucks are starting to grow. It's a great time to come out.
If you have any questions or comments about today's show, make sure and send me an email and I'll get right back to you. If you'd like more information on deer farming in general, make sure and contact the North American Deer Farmers Association.